Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. We must not trust them. Connect to the Force. Have faith. Think of diving into a great ocean. Give yourselves over to its weight, its stillness, its uncertainty. And tell me what comes into your mind.
It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang, bang, and people fall over and are dead. But, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, a kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
And welcome back to Generation Skywalker for a show that I've been meaning to record for a while. For those of you who are first-time listeners, Generation Skywalker is a collaborative podcast covering all aspects of Star Wars. In fact, our strapline since the beginning has been all eras, all passions, all Star Wars. Now, recognising that with the mass of Star Wars content out there, there's almost certainly something for everyone. Not everyone will like everything, and we can pick and choose what content is for us whilst perusing the buffet-style banquet that is on offer. So sticking with the food analogy, clearly some aspects of Star Wars are Michelin star quality content, while other aspects may be more of a fast food or junk food in its ingredients, taste, and how good it is for consumers. We cover it all though, and we try our hardest to give a balanced, informed, and hopefully thought-provoking deep dive. The Generation Skywalker is formed of four main hosts. That's me, Jez, Stuart Skinner, Dan Burgess, and Peter Lee. Often supported with members of the Star Wars community, especially those from within our small Facebook group, We Are Generation Skywalker. Now, our back catalogue is vast and all-encompassing. We cover modern Star Wars collecting with our The Modern Way shows, and we cover vintage Star Wars collecting with our Those Old Fossils shows. We've had quizzes, Star Wars beer tasting shows, commentaries, focus months, and our very popular committee shows, which I'll explain a little bit more about later. But we've also covered several of the Disney Plus shows. Whilst leading up to Andor Season 2, we had a really great 5-show deep dive of Andor Season 1, and we've done a full analysis of the Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and Ahsoka. But we've not got around to doing anything on the Acolyte yet. So I'm delighted that tonight we're going to take a look. Now, first of all, I'm joined by Generation Skywalker, Palatoy and Vader fanatic, Dan Burgess.
Hello there. I'm all right. I'm good. Looking forward to this.
Amazing. I bet you are. Right. So, Dan, now most of our listeners will know that last year was a hard year for us, for Generation Skywalker. You know, for many reasons. Firstly, We lost our dear friend and co-host Craig Spivey, passing away in February of last year. And then, losing Craig really knocked the wind out of our sails. 3 weeks after that, my dad passed away, so I was really struggling. And personally, the whole team had some distractions and problems. So we were extremely quiet last year. But we've already produced more shows this year than all of 2024. We're definitely back on it. And Dan, prior to its release, you seemed actually really keen on the Acolyte, and you initially ran some polls for each episode on our Facebook group. I say initially because what happened?
The show came out. The show came out. I had a really rough time with this show, and it'd be interesting to go back through it tonight. I have rewatched it, which I swore I'd never do, but I did that for you, Jez, and our listeners. And yeah, I stopped liking Star Wars for a while. I started building model kits, and I spent the second half of last year just not interested in Star Wars. Didn't buy any vintage, didn't buy any modern. Yeah, it really put me off Star Wars.
Wow. Yeah. So it's no surprise that we've not had a show on this yet. But one thing we don't want to do is rage bait, clickbait content. We've prided ourselves on our positive content. However, that's hardly all eras, all passions, all Star Wars though, is it? So, to provide an element of balance to a discussion on the Acolyte, I've reached out on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and I found someone who appeared very positive on Dan on your first couple of Acolyte polls. I'm delighted to welcome onto the podcast for a first time as a guest host, Mark Spriggs. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on. I genuinely don't know how tonight is going to go. I'm really, really excited about it. I've watched The Acolyte now more than twice whilst preparing for this, and definitely you seem to be quite keen on this at the beginning when it first came out.
Yeah, certainly did. It's a new show. It's a new thing. I remember the Dark Horse comics going back to the kind of the old Jedi Order with Ulic Qel-Droma and Nomi Sunrider, and started reading the new Jedi books for this golden era when they started coming out. So this just seemed like a good way to continue that in live action.
The Jedi teach there's only one way to access the Force. And if you don't do it their way, it fades. But there is another way. Below the surface of consciousness are powerful emotions. Anger, fear, loss, desire.
That's the path to the dark side.
Semantics.
So on tonight's show, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how this was announced, how this came out, marketing, trailers, sort of general hype and feel. We'll then just briefly talk about how the episodes were released, and then cover sort of critical responses and this and the other. So as we already know, there's a fair amount of doom and gloom about that. However, in the second half of this episode, we're going to be going in a little bit deeper. I don't know where this is going to go. We're going to see what Dan's observations were, we'll see what Mark's observations were, and we'll see what mine. We're going to cover some sort of highs and lows and various different discussions. We're also going to look at any sort of crossovers or nods with the OT. If there was anything which got noticed by the crew, like, oh, okay, see what they did there. And we're also going to have a couple of mini committees. Now, normally the committees are a standalone show where members of our crew might get given a subject. For example, it might be, right, we need to figure out what the top 10 jewels are in Star Wars, or the top 10 first Star Wars figures. We'll all discuss them, we'll all debate them, we'll come up with our own point of view. We will then vote in a committee. We're not going to do a full committee tonight, but what we are going to do is we're going to have two mini committees where the three of us are going to vote for our top 5 worst moments of The Acolyte, but also we're going to end on a positive. We are going to come up with our committee's top 5 positive or best moments of The Acolyte. So let's crack on with the show.
You do not want to go down this road. This is a fight that you will not win.
Right, so the first section, which we're going to go through tonight, just the two of you. So I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be just trying to feed off you with regards to Acolyte. And we're going to go through it from announcement to everything else. But there's a little thing on BBC Radio 2. So Ramesh Ranganathan has got a section called Pitch Your Passion, where people have 45 seconds to pitch BMXing, basket weaving, doing whatever it is which flicks their switch. But I'm giving you the passion. I'm saying, right, forget pitch your passion. I want you to articulate your Acolyte. And you can have 45 seconds to pitch me and the listeners the Acolyte. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a 10-second warning when we're getting nearly at the end. And then I will just cut you off at 45 seconds. All right, so first of all, let's just have a little look. Mark, I want you to go first of all. And are you ready? Are you steady? Articulate your Acolyte.
Well, in the spirit of Generation Skywalker, this is a new era, and it's all eras that we're interested in. It's based on a series of books, The High Republic. It's coming up to a century before Phantom Menace, and it's a new style of Star Wars. And it's got the Jedi as this incredibly religious and kind of fixated set. But they also are not perfect, and they kind of generate this new whodunit style that really kind of intrigues you and draws you into this universe.
Right, time's up. Thanks very much. Brilliant, Mark. Right, okay. Interesting, exciting stuff. Dan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Articulate your Acolyte.
The Acolyte, the Star Wars show for fans who said, what if we took the Jedi and made them all two-dimensional social working a-holes? They've still got the Force, encrypted dialogue, and they use their lightsabers just enough to remind you that you're technically still watching Star Wars. And as for the plot, a Wikipedia rabbit hole mixed with spice-induced false nightmares. The marketing stated the show would explore the rise of the dark side, but instead it ends up exploring your patience. Characters are introduced like they're important, then vanish like your hopes for a coherent plot. It's legitimately as if people who didn't give a shit about Star Wars wrote a story in the Star Wars universe. Yes, there's new lore, but it's the kind that sparks Reddit wars, not clarity. And if you love Star Wars, but also love being confounded and emotionally betrayed, then this is the Star Wars show for you.
Time's up. Goodness me. Right, okay. So, all right, listeners, we can see... Cheers, Dan. Thanks for that. Might have to get the profanity filter out a couple of times. Right, okay. So, two very different takes at the moment on the Acolyte. So, okay, bear with. Right. Thank you very much for that. Now, normally, what they would do on Radio 2 is the listeners would phone in or text in and say who won that particular bout. We're not going to do that, because otherwise I'd be, how would I do that? So maybe our listeners post this show will let us know. But let's just move on.
I think when you really want something, it can cloud your mind. You see what you want to see. He fooled us all.
When was The Acolyte first announced, Dan?
So there was talk of it for a while leading up to the announcement of the title that Leslie Headland was getting the show, and it was going to be about the rise of the dark side. But it was formally announced in December 2020 at Disney Investor Show presentation, where Kathleen Kennedy announced the title and told us all about the show. I can remember it when they had all the. I mean, it was the Lando show. They were talking about there being a droid show, and it was kind of like whatever they could think of. I think they threw a Lego up for, but yeah, Acolyte was one, and it stood out for me. I've spoke a while, for a while about my love of the Plagueis novel, and Darth Vader and the dark side, and my interpretation of it all was it was going to be a show from the perspective of the dark side. That's what I took away from all of the kind of, you know, mutterings about it. And I was quite excited for this. And everyone's, you know, I remember in the run up to it, oh, it's going to be woke and it's going to be this. And I thought, oh, well, look, I really wanted to give this show a chance, and I really thought it was going to be, you know, something different. And you know, looking at it from the perspective of the bad guys. And in that period, obviously, you'd have had Darth Plagueis, you'd have had, you know, or Sith at that time would have been, you know, in the backgrounds, as it were, trying to, you know, create all the machinations that get us to where we are in the films that we all know and love. But sadly, that's not what we got.
Yeah, absolutely. So to go over the details, yeah, it was April 22nd, 2020. Variety reported that Headland would be writing and serving as a showrunner for a Star Wars series. That official announcement on May the 4th on StarWars.com, that Headland will be executive producer on the project. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right, as the Disney Investors Day in December of 2020. So, yeah, loads of stuff coming out during the dark times of COVID. So, Mark, going back to you with regards to your previous absolute love, I imagine that you were quite thrilled with this concept.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the idea of the High Republic being presented in live action, a series that looked at the Jedi but looked at it from a kind of a Sith perspective, was absolutely fascinating. The concept of the whodunit was starting to kind of flavour some of the marketing, and it was like, well, how are the Jedi the bad guys? How are the Sith effectively the good guys or the anti-hero types?
Yeah.
And how are they going to make that some kind of detective story? Yeah, there were real questions, real potential. Yeah, I completely understand how Dan feels kind of let down, because there was so much hype behind it.
Okay.
But I think that as we went through, the marketing didn't quite live up to the initial hype.
Sure.
The trailers were coming out and they looked good.
We'll come to those, Mark, because just now
Yep.
you said about, you know, brought loads of questions. Now, one of the first questions I had, what is an acolyte? And because I found initially that quite confusing. If you think back now through Star Wars titles, okay, so Star Wars, then later came A New Hope, but The Empire Strikes Back, right, okay, we know what we're dealing with The Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi, okay, clues in the name. And then you come on to other things. The Phantom Menace. All right, okay, yeah, well, that will make Attack of the Clones. I wonder what's going to happen on that. Revenge of the Sith. You can see where I'm going with this, that usually Star Wars titles, kind of, you don't need to think that much behind them. Think about Solo, etc., etc. The Acolyte.
Yeah, it's almost like a religious term, I think, for like a follower. I mean, even in Rise of Skywalker, the people that were in the arena when the Emperor's there, all these crazies dressed up in cloaks, they were Sith acolytes.
If you check online, an acolyte is an assistant or follower assisting the celebrant in a religious service or procession. So there is quite a lot of sort of religious undertones. But yes, on Star Wars fandom site, Sith acolyte was a term used to describe a force sensitive who existed outside of the Sith master and Sith apprentice relationship of the rule of two. Instead, they supposed to be trained as a lesser agent who was not a true Sith but did adhere to its tradition. Okay, was this something which was written about previously in now Legends stories?
I believe there was mention of an acolyte in terms of the Force Unleashed stuff with Darth Vader's acolyte. So he wasn't the kind of the apprentice to the Sith Lord. He was the apprentice of the apprentice, effectively. So Asajj Ventress was an acolyte. Savage Opress was also an acolyte before he went off with his brother. So effectively, the stranger is looking for an acolyte, looking for an apprentice, while being the apprentice to Darth Plagueis.
Yeah.
I want a pupil, an acolyte. But this one went back on our deal. She exposed me. So now I have to kill every single last one of you.
Let's move on to the marketing. You kind of hinted at it earlier on then, Mark. What was the marketing like for the Acolyte? What was the vibe?
I think people were expecting to kind of get an idea of where this series was going. It didn't quite fulfill that from what I understood, from what I could see. So the trailers came out. The trailers looked good, but they didn't answer enough questions to really fill people with faith. But that wasn't particularly the issue. It was the fact that you had the director and the showrunner kind of coming out and doing interviews which had the real potential to promote the series, but were actually kind of antagonizing the fan base. And yeah, I don't think it was done with malicious intent, but not having a particular, saying that the team don't have a particular interest in Star Wars, perhaps complaining about particular elements of the fandom as they were getting ready for what was going on. It really did seem to kind of undermine what was going on.
Talking point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure some.
Because nerds are gay.
Well, some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true. But in my world, nerds are gay.
Okay. Was this the fun element of it?
No, I don't think so. And yet people have told me that it's the gayest Star Wars, and I frankly...
You're offended?
Into it. No.
I think that Star Wars is so gay already.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen the fits? We'd be like, look how gay this is, and then send each other a reference photo.
And are you telling me, with a straight face, that C-3PO is straight?
They're a couple. That's what I think. But this is more outward.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ask Filoni. Okay.
Ask Filoni.
Let's just put a pin in that for a second. We'll go to the trailers. So on the 19th of March 2024, trailer came out, 1 minute 46, and then on May the 4th, another one. So what were your thoughts, Dan, on the trailers when you saw them?
They didn't. I'll be honest with you. I mean, this show is the cherry on the cake for me in terms of, I don't know, becoming a little bit maybe too used to Star Wars shows coming out. So where in the old days you might have, poured over a trailer for, many, many, many times. Mm-hmm. It kind of just washed over me a bit. It wasn't. I didn't think there was anything particularly new in there. There was Jedi in there for sure. I was intrigued by the stranger character, who that was going to be, and how that was going to tie into the Sith lineage, assuming that was a Sith. But there wasn't one thing that made me think, "Oh my god, I need to watch this show." But yeah, it wasn't a bad trailer by any means. I mean, I have rewatched them the other day, and it doesn't feel like that's the same show that we ended up with. I'll be honest. The trailer's probably better than the show, gives you a better impression of what the show actually is, I would say. Yeah. In retrospect,
it looked like a movie. They really do. I mean, they obviously, trailers kind of want to whet your appetite, isn't it? But when you watch the trailers like that, it looks like a very well made movie. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, I think they made a huge amount of having Carrie-Anne Moss in the series, and I think that really kind of made people very excited for, his Carrie-Anne Moss. It's Trinity from The Matrix, and she's fighting.
Yeah.
And that was the first element that people, I think, picked up on. It looks like a very action-packed series.
For sure.
Yeah. And that really, I saw that first, and I was just kind of desperate for it to arrive on screen.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. Action packed. I understand what Dan's saying, but for me, I was looking at this, I was thinking, brilliant, yeah, more Star Wars content. I hope it's good. You know, I'd already seen bits I wasn't happy with on Book of Boba Fett. I'd already seen bits I wasn't happy with on Ahsoka, or on Kenobi. You know, we'd had highs and lows all the way through this Disney Plus experience. I would say more highs on Andor. But yeah, I was looking forward to it. I thought that the trailers were pretty good. It's interesting that we won't read too much into this right now, but when you look at the one which came out on the 19th of March, I think, where within it, one of the lines is someone is killing Jedi. If you actually scroll down and read some of the comments, someone's written, quote, something is killing Jedi, end quote, comma, it's Disney. And that's the top comment on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, they really need to get rid of that. But yeah, so lots of stuff coming out, some really positive stuff, some positive content being pushed out under control, but also some rogue comments here and there, some interviews coming up from the past which people are repurposing and using, and people are really stirring the pot. And already, before this is released, there's lots of animosity, lots of uncertainty, and a fair amount of vitriol.
Prepare my ship. Gather as many knights as you can without raising alarm.
You anticipate a confrontation?
A resolution.
Eight episodes, all with a variety of directors, the first two being directed by Leslie Headland. So excluding the credits, the longest episode was 41 minutes, and most probably just over 30 minutes or so. So yeah, quite short episodes. In fact, the total runtime, including intros, flashbacks, credits, etc., is 5 hours 29. Some of the critical fan reaction came out before these episodes even dropped. Lads, what can you tell me about reaction?
It was pretty divided. I think it's safe to say this. I feel, anyways, this is probably the most divisive Star Wars media since probably The Last Jedi. We saw Rotten Tomato review bombing. I think it ended up with I think it went down as low as 13% on Rotten Tomatoes in terms of audience reaction versus a critic score. I think it was about 78%. So it had quite a good critic score. But yeah, the fans trashed the reviews online, and it got
the show had even come out, Dan?
I don't know if it had before it had been come out, but certainly once it was released, I don't think Rotten Tomatoes let you leave reviews prior to something being released. But certainly not long after that number, that third episode was the one, and everyone went guns blazing at it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me something before that one dropped. I think you had heard someone had seen something or other and just said, "Oh, apparently it's all going to kick off on the third."
Yeah.
What else, then, Mark? What have you got on sort of critical or fan reactions? What did you see?
I think I saw similar to Dan in terms of the critics kind of saw a lot of positive in it, but Facebook and kind of the different social media were just exploding with every kind of different fan reaction. There were many that if you got too critical of it, they were kicking you off the site, and if you were too nice about it, you were being kicked off sites. So the audience was incredibly divided. Woke was being thrown around every which way, and half the people I don't think actually knew what woke meant, but it was being thrown around quite freely. As if it was a badge of dishonor. People didn't want to have a middle ground opinion of it. They didn't. It was almost like you had to kind of go one way or the other, and then have a bit of a Barney about it.
Yeah, I tried to gauge. I don't know why I bothered, to be honest with you. With a negative approach, but a constructive one. probably hopefully similar to what we're going to have tonight. And yeah, I got called all sorts of names. So I was kind of like, yeah, this isn't going to go well. So I'm going to step away from this and let them go at it themselves. Because yeah, you were either on the left or you were on the right, and there was, like you say, no middle ground on this at all.
Yeah, so it was during the production and marketing. Just having a little look at Wikipedia now, it says, you know, the series received loads of criticism from some online commentators for being woke, and then specifics included its initial description as being female centric, and I think people taking umbrage to that. And casting of Steinberg, who is non-binary and uses she, her and they, them pronouns, and this was just, I think, just winding some people who get easily wound up, and it was just taking their focus away from what was, you know, from the Star Wars content itself. People being told that they're, you know, pushing an agenda and various different things. Headland, and again bringing up previous interviews about what Headland had been saying in the past. So all of these things just completely taking away the focus and attention of the actual Star Wars content. And then let's just have a little look at this. So as the episodes came out, as you said, as we got to episode 3, there was lots of vitriol with that, which we're going to come on to, and it just started to dip in its popularity big time. Ratings were not good. Viewership, watchership was certainly not good. So Dan, what did the main star, Amandla, what did Amandla Steinberg do?
Yeah, so on June the 19th last year is Juneteenth Day in the States. She posted a music video of a song that she'd written and produced a video for called Discourse, with a message. Let me just get it up and I'll read it 1 second. I've got the Twitter out. Ooh, I did have it. Hold on 1 second. Where's it gone? Sorry. Amanda Steinberg, Juneteenth. Here we go. So, yeah, so she released the video with a message saying, "Happy Juneteenth, and to those who are flooding me with intolerable racism, since it took me 72 hours on my laptop to make this song video, you got 72 hours to respond, and I expect a choreo," which I'm assuming is a choreographed dance video in response. And that was on Instagram. And yeah, it's not a great song. It's not. Yeah, I don't think it got in the top 10. I looked on the App Store on iTunes to see if she'd released it like as an actual song, but she hasn't. It was purely for that purpose. And yeah, talking about, I think, how things that she said have been taken out of context. Talks about oppression and slavery, and yeah, goes down to all kinds of rabbit holes. And I just, we spoke about it before with Kenobi, with the actress that played Reva, and the kind of the feedback that fans got about the racism that she'd been receiving. And I just feel that, I mean, I don't know what the kind of hate laws and things like that are in the States. I don't know where they stand, but I know obviously in this country, if you start posting racist comments to people online, there's a good chance you're going to get a knock at your door from the police, right? I just wonder, someone, and she's working for a big company like Disney as well, why they didn't have her back, why someone wasn't reporting this to police, why people weren't getting taken to task on this. To resort to having to release a music video in response to some of this is it just all feels a bit, it's like it's got out of hand, doesn't it? It's just gone too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the song, really. I mean, it all felt like it was out. There was I know a lot of YouTuber commentators, a lot of the guys, who are on the right were producing videos on YouTube about it. And when they were using clips of the music video, and they normally do their little, they're in the corner slagging it off. I think she was slapping them with copyright orders, so she was actually earning money off of their videos. So there was a big uproar over that, and people talking about taking each other to court, and yeah, it just felt all very unnecessary over a TV show.
Dan, I agree. Disney should be doing better with regards to this, or preparing people, or just thinking, what's going to happen. It wasn't just Moses Ingram that this happened with on Kenobi, where Ewan McGregor had to step in and do a video to the fans because he was calling out these fans for not being true fans. And it completely hijacked the narrative of what was going on at the time with Kenobi. Again, this sort of toxic fandom splitting things. And when you look back, Kelly Marie Tran and her character Rose, again, how she was treated, and the message coming out from her and Disney was, again, racism and people attacking people of colour or from different backgrounds. And that's what people were latching onto. So, yeah, the diss track, the Amanda Steinberg diss track, which when you look at it and you say it came out on the 19th, so that was the day after the 4th episode, which was Day. So this must have been after the 3rd episode, which, completely bombed, lots and lots of sort of hate for that online. She must have then suffered about 2-3 days worth of abuse, of online abuse, trolling and hate. And then, as you said, 72 hours to produce this track where she put it on. But when we think about how this is happening right in the middle of a Disney Plus series, slap bang in the middle, the main actress from this puts on a diss track. You've never seen anything like this before, have you? Just completely unprecedented.
Yeah, it's just nuts. It's nuts, and I can't believe Disney didn't step in on either way. To support her with what she was, going through with that, and B, letting her do that. There must be something contractual in it. I think if it had been a different set of circumstances and someone else had released the music video, I don't know whether because the spotlight was so far and they didn't think about it. But Disney are quite tight on this sort of stuff. Why let that go? I mean, I know she's obviously been through that series now, and I know she's still got work with Disney. I think I was looking for a Wikipedia of what stuff she's got coming up. I know she's got a big movie coming up with Disney. I know it's Star Wars related, but she's still involved with them. I think a lot of cases they've just sacked people off in the past, so they must think a lot of her.
I think you've got to remember what Disney was going through at the time with the Florida governor and the state legislature, in terms of Disney being, that word again, being seen as woke, being seen as not playing the right-wing game. And I don't know if they just took their eye off the ball, because it wasn't just the fact that people of colour were being attacked. It was that people were being attacked because of their gender. They were being attacked because of their sexuality. It was a whole host. Moses Ingram got terrible abuse for her physique. It was ridiculous. I was, alongside the comments that were made, that I was just almost ashamed to be a Star Wars fan with some of the stuff coming out. And I'd never experienced that. I nearly went Star Trek.
but it's funny how things get latched onto, right? So take the first season of Andor, right? So you got Vel, the character Vel, Mon Mothma's cousin, and Sintra, and they're in a lesbian relationship. There's no two ways about that, right? They're in love with one another. Yeah. But it didn't feel like there was anything come out about that. There was no vitriol or anger, not that I saw anyways. And some of this stuff, it feels like if the project is well accepted, this stuff goes under the radar. First season of Mandalorian, or second season, sorry, no, people look over the fact that in that last episode, Mandalorian, supported by 4 women, he's off trying to rescue Grogu, and there's 4 women running through a Star Destroyer, taking all the stormtroopers out. No one ever complains about that. But I think if there's a problem with a series and people aren't enjoying it the way they want to enjoy it, and I don't think it's as good as it should be, that's when things tend to turn nasty. That's my interpretation of it all.
Yeah, I certainly saw some of the negative comments for the things that you mentioned, but it was certainly nowhere on the same level.
No.
As this. And I think that we've just got to be aware of where these things are, and they need to be called out. I know, Dan, that you mentioned if you didn't kind of go left wing or right wing, you started getting kind of rude comments, and it just seems to be playing more along those lines.
Yeah, I think though that the thing that probably done it for me, and we'll talk more about the show in a minute, but you mentioned as well when you were kind of summing up kind of people going and some of the creatives doing interviews and making light of the whole thing, before the show came out, making jokes about, oh, this is the gayest Star Wars ever, or, oh, it's the toxic males in fandom that are attacking the women. And it just made me not want to be part of that. It made me think that actually I've been a Star Wars fan for probably, for as long as I can remember. And it felt like we're getting the blame for all of it, whether we were part of that narrative or not. It definitely felt like it was kind of like they were making excuses for the show. Because don't forget, when all said and done, this show's been cancelled because it didn't get the viewership. People weren't watching it. I can sit at work and have a conversation with 20 people, and I guarantee people, oh, I love Star Wars. Have you seen the Acolyte? Have you seen Andor? Have you seen this? They haven't. We're in a bit of a vacuum with some of this stuff. Yes, we're in the Facebook groups and we're seeing all the noise, but outside of all of that, a lot of people aren't aware of these conversations that we're having. They're not aware of the perception of Acolyte unless they go and look for reviews and scores on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. They're not pressing play on Disney Plus and watching it, and that's the reason it was cancelled. It wasn't well received, and it wasn't well marketed. I don't think.
I agree. The marketing was an issue, particularly not necessarily the trailers themselves, but all of that kind of marketing package with the different people talking and doing their interviews. I don't think that did the series any favors. And it's not a perfect series. You talk to my kids who are all in the industry, and they talk about pacing, and they talk about amateur elements like the whaling. But actually, it was the second highest watched series of 2024. It had
on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus, 2.673 billion minutes. It was second only to Percy Jackson. Now, one of the things that, yes, the fandom were not appreciative, but the critics liked it. It was incredibly expensive. There is no doubt about that one. Far too expensive for what it actually produced. And it was somewhere between 100 and 150 million more expensive than Andor?
Maybe per series. I think Andor, both series cost like 250 million, or maybe it was as high as 300 million. But those 8 episodes, half-hour episodes, for $230 million.
Yeah, that was a key reason, and that's what Disney have come out and said. We couldn't go for a second series because it was just too expensive for what it did. It was very interesting that they then turned around and said it's not about the amount of viewing because that was so high, but it didn't bring anybody into Disney Plus. In fact, I think that it lost some subscribers.
It did. I was one of them. Of them.
And that, I think, was far more key. The fact that it didn't generate subscribers, in fact, it had an impact in terms of subscribers leaving, that kind of changed Disney Plus's mind on keeping it. I don't think we're done with that era, but I do think we're done with the Acolyte, and we're done with Leslie Headland kind of leading on that. So, watch this space. But the cancellation was just too expensive, both cost-wise and in terms of the Disney Plus business model.
So when did the cancellation get announced then, Mark?
It hasn't formally been announced, but it's just been
22nd of August.
Has it been formally announced that it's cancelled? Did Lucasfilm come out and said it's cancelled?
They formally came out and said it was cancelled on the 22nd of August last year.
Right, okay.
It was only kind of a few weeks after it kind of ended, or a few months. And they announced it then, and about a week later, it was one of the Disney upper ups who kind of came up and said, "This is why." Don't quote me too heavily on this, but this is why. It was too expensive, and it wasn't generating enough on our business model.
I think when you gather some things together, the fact that all this time has gone since Rian Johnson's trilogy was first announced, and no sort of real indications on that. All these other projects which have been announced in the past and just gone quiet. The fact that Disney came out 4 weeks after the last episode was aired and said, "We're not taking this forward," really tells you something. And you're absolutely right. I think it's everything you said, coupled with just thinking, do you know what? We've been burnt a few times and our actors have been burnt a few times. We need to rethink our strategy. Maybe we need to rethink Disney Plus. What are we doing? What are we doing with our toys? What are we doing with purchases and secondary effects? How was this taken at celebration, etc., etc., etc. So lots and lots of backtracking and looking at things and probably thinking, yeah, we need to absolutely control the narrative a little bit more. And then when you think about, we've just had someone do a diss track halfway through this, how can we continue this story as planned? Yeah, we need a rethink. So
can I just say a little bit more about the viewership? I know you mentioned there, Mark, about it being Disney Plus's second most popular season of the year. But there's a couple of points on that. So I'm just looking now at the Nielsen charts from the releases. So the week that it was released, the first 2 episodes were 7th on the Nielsen chart, went up to 6th on the basically for the 3rd episode, so on the 2nd week, and then it dropped out of the Nielsen chart top 10 completely. And then it came back for the 10th episode when it finished, or sorry, for the 8th episode when it finished in 10th. So that tells a story. It's not just, you've got to look at the bigger picture, not just what's happening on Disney Plus. You had reruns of shows that were beating The Acolyte. And this is Star Wars, right? So it should be special. It should be, these shows, when they come out, they should be special to us, like the movies were. These should be, when you say it comes second to Percy Jackson, I've never heard of Percy Jackson. What the bloody hell is that? This should be number 1. It should be their premiere release, and it just never pulled the viewers in.
Osha, I don't want to have to subdue you, but I will. Come on.
So, Dan, you said you watched the first 3 episodes, then you cancelled your Disney Plus. Now, since then, Andor season 2, you got your Disney Plus back, haven't you? You are now a Disney Plus subscriber.
I have discovered that if you've got Tesco Club Card points, you can get a 3 months subscription for the price of 1. So yeah, that was how I justified renewing. But yeah, I've not let it lapse yet. So I am still a Disney Plus subscriber, and it did allow me to rewatch the show for this recording. So
when you say rewatch the show,
yes,
have you watched episodes 4 to 8 just once?
Yes. No. I did. I watched them. I did cancel my subscription, but it was I still had long enough to watch it all, and I binged watched the final 5 episodes once they'd all been released, and then rewatched it last week for this.
Okay, so Mark, I'm going to ask yourself the same question. How many times have you watched The Acolyte?
I watched it twice, all the way through when it came out.
Yep.
I watched it twice before Christmas. So I watched it 4 times in 2024. And I have watched it once leading up to this show. So 5 times in total.
5 times. Brilliant. Now, I've seen it, I think, 3 times. Or once more than I've seen Kenobi, once more than I've seen Book of Boba Fett, and twice more than I've seen Ahsoka. Or maybe once more than I've seen Ahsoka. So from my point of view, I have been able to go back and rewatch it a couple of times. I've wanted to see this, I've wanted to see that. And I do honestly believe that I'd be more likely to watch this than I am to go back and watch Ahsoka. Now, I know, Dan, you were a bit of a fan of Ahsoka. So, yeah, just an interesting take. But the question I have for you both, whilst you've been watching this, were there any sort of nods or crossovers that you've seen or noticed for which sort of tie up with the original trilogy?
One that I picked out, and it's not OT, but it goes back to the prequels, is there's a senator who's having a conversation with, is it Venestra, the Green Lady?
Yeah.
And he says about rogue Jedi, and one day a rogue Jedi is going to be the end of you guys, kind of alluding to Anakin almost. So that was kind of one that I picked up on.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we're talking prequels, the key crossover is Coyadi-Mundi. For good or ill, that was a key disagreement between fans. Why is Coyadi-Mundi in this show? One of the other things I noticed is in the first episode in the bar where May goes to confront Indara. There's actually a Dijarik table in the background.
Can you elaborate on that?
It's the chess game that they're playing on the Millennium Falcon.
Nice.
Come on, Jez.
I didn't see that. I didn't even know that was Dijarik. Did you say Dijarik?
Yeah. Did you not know it's called that?
Well, I've got so much going on in my head. Fine, fair enough. So you've got Warris Raincourt, who was, David Harewood's character, who was chatting to Venestra. You saw him right at the end in episode 8. Really solid actor. Who, they had that whole discussion about you don't like me, do you? that dude. And as you said, Coyadi-Mundi. Interesting. Okay. I saw loads more. I did see that sort of Headland was like, I'm going to give this to the OT fans. I'm going to give this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do that. So this had more wipes, more transitions, scene wipes, loads of sort of scene wipes. And I saw when you're on Brendock, I saw twin moons as opposed to twin suns. I saw Torbin's awful beard, which just gave me General Madine sort of flashbacks from Return of the Jedi. And you could also say Obi-Wan Kenobi, I guess, with Torbin's awful beard. You had Yord saying, I've got a bad feeling about this. You did have someone say, what if it's a trap? Again, I was just like, a trap. In episode 8, See You in Hell, Jedi. I don't know if you picked up on that. And there was another one, strike him down and your journey will be complete. Word for word, strike him down and your journey will be complete. That's what the stranger said. There was another one, a pupil of mine before he turned to evil, Vanessa said. But there was one I was like, right, okay, you're really trying to help us here. I think it was May said this to Osha. She said, right in episode 8, when they were going up in the castle, she said, when I fell, I got sucked into this core tunnel. I was like, kind of just like how Luke happened to get sucked into a core tunnel as he fell in Empire Strikes Back.
When I fell, I got sucked into this core tunnel. Come this way.
And when you then looked at the shot, the position of the camera and how they were in this tunnel, I was like, okay, yeah. It was a really weird line. Maybe it just helped to get out of some poor writing, possibly. When I felt I got sucked into this core tunnel. Cheers. It sounds like a really sort of normal conversation to have. But yeah, those were my OT crossovers.
I had two others.
Go for them.
One was Sol being cremated at the end, being flashback to Phantom Menace and to the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
With Venestra holding the big kind of torch as the pyre went up. But then the really key one in the last few seconds, Yoda. And I think
say key one.
I think it was what everyone had been expecting from minute one of the series, that Yoda would turn up at some point.
On the back of his head, anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Headland had said he wasn't going to be in it. She had come out and said, right, yeah, he's not going to be in it. And I saw this, and there's lots of positives I see in this, and we'll bring out some positives, I'm sure. But I saw this and I was just like, oh, it's cheap, just cheap. So in Andor, they make all these references to Palpatine, and they make all these other references, and you don't need to see these people, but it still carries the gravitas. So I the whole Yoda thing, I was like, do you know what? I think if it had been the other way around, if Venestra had just said, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, but I just thought it took away from Chimere and Osha doing that whole ESB look out over the sea, sort of wondering what's going to happen. And then you just went to this, right? Because what did Venestra say to Yoda?
I've been a devious so-and-so, and I'm blaming it all on Sol.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, if you're going to mention Yoda, you've got to talk Plagueis then as well. So, yeah, it was great to see on one hand, but then on the other, I just felt that when you take the sum of all of this show and what it was, it's just so infuriating that we didn't get a different story. We didn't get to see why they wanted Osha and May, what Plagueis was up to. And I don't know if you've read the Plagueis novel. I know you downloaded it a while back.
Yeah,
that he's, Higo Damask is one of the richest men in the galaxy. He's, that's how the Sith ended up manipulating the galaxy through, greed and politics. Why are they? Why are they here? Why are they revealing themselves in this way for such a, this killing Jedi? Well, certainly the stranger is, and they're just risking everything, and we're given no answers why. That book is so good at describing how they went about their manipulation of the galaxy. This story just feels so insignificant against that, and to bring him into it, I just felt again was a waste. I just felt it was wasteful and fan service, for want of a better expression.
What did you think, Mark?
I think that there was lots of wasted opportunities. I can't disagree with Dan on that one. There were so many. You've got Plagueis, who links us all the way to the prequel trilogy. We've got Yoda, takes us to the original trilogy, and we've got Venestra Rowe, who takes us back to the High Republic series, and she was an incredibly popular character within that series. You've got the three of them, and they're not even bit parts. And Venestra Rowe characters is hardly recognizable from the books. So there was lots of opportunity, and there was lots of potential, and it was a jolly good series from my perspective, but there were so many holes, so much missed. With those three characters alone, when they did come out and cancel it, I was upset because there was an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fan reaction, especially at the recent celebration, Jez, you'd be able to tell us more about that. For Manny Jacinto, yeah, he seems incredibly popular, and his character seems to have been incredibly popular at the fan events, which doesn't kind of reflect the polarization that we've seen.
No, okay, so yeah, absolutely. We're jumping all over the place, and we won't necessarily follow the plan that we were looking at doing, but I think there were some very, very positive things to come out of this show. When you think about, absolutely, Chimere, the Stranger, very popular character, very popular actor who was, it's Celebration. Some will say he appeared sad on stage and a little bit sort of resigned to the fact that, there wasn't going to be anything else. But you look at characters such as Jackie, who was popular with a lot of people. You look at, some people were very fond of Soul. Some people were very fond of some of the effects and some of the bits and pieces. There were some very good, positive aspects of this show, which we will come on to. But yeah, Jacinto was absolutely one who did appear to be a favourite. You looked at then Plagueis. You just think opportunities. So the Acolyte, that might be it for the Acolyte. I do wonder if they can follow up with some of these stories in the future, and maybe instead of the Acolyte they'll have the Apprentice, and maybe the third sort of chapter of this story might be the Master or something like that. That would be a great way of getting around all of that, because you could say, right, yeah, we're now not going to focus on this character, we're not going to focus on that character, but we'll still be able to take what's important to the Star Wars story forward. So yeah, who knows? It's the end of the Acolyte, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily the end of some of these individual stories, because otherwise we're just going to have exactly the same as what happened to Darth Maul at the end of Solo, because they just made the assumption that there would be a Solo 2, maybe even a Solo 3, and that just wasn't the case.
Animated series next year's, Jez.
Yeah, I'll take that. Guys, one thing, Mark, you've already said it, loads of questions asked. It was almost like this show just wasn't long enough. Dan's already saying, didn't need it, too long, didn't even want to see it. Other people are saying, they lasted 30 minutes each, it was only 8 episodes. What about this? What about this? What about this? And a lot of this comes down to the writing. I have got a list of questions here. Whys, what's, how's, and whose section we'll call this. So I'm going to start off by saying, how was Indira so powerful that she could kill over a dozen witches with her mind and take out a possessed Wookiee, yet 16 years later she gets tricked / killed by May?
Well, we got to come up with. We got to answer these, Jez.
What I might put in is I might just get a tumbleweed sound effect. Don't get me wrong, there are loads of things that I really like. We're going to come on to them. The battles were battles like we've not seen. Some of the special effects in this is top tier. Some of the special effects in this were so good. Some of the characters were really, really good, but the battles in particular. But as adults, we want more than just battles. We demand more for our galaxy far, far away than just lightsabers and battles. So it's about the writing. For me, there are so many questions here. My thoughts are, Leslie Headland is like, oh, I've got this great idea. I love Star Wars. I love this. I love that. And I think she thinks she's better than she is. You know that thing, you should never send an email if you're angry, or sleep on it. If you're frustrated at work or what have you, don't send an email. Just sit on it, let it simmer, have a little look at it. I don't think they did this with this script. I don't think they did with this plan. I think she just vomited a load of ideas onto a table and just went, that's the script. And the trouble is, no one checked her. No one said, hang on a second. So I see loads of questions. Which nonsensical elements of it, but also other things where I'm like, well, I'm not saying it's nonsensical, but it's just not been answered. What's happened there? What's happened there? So yeah, my first one, as Jedi Masters are meant to get better and better and better, how was Indira so powerful that she could kill over a dozen witches with her mind, take out a possessed Wookiee, yet 16 years later she gets tricked or killed by May in a bar in the middle of a fight? So yeah, that's my first one. Who's next? Let's go Mark.
I think in terms of the Indara one, I think the fight where the witches are killed, it's an accident. It's not that she killed them with her mind. It's an accident as she's freeing Kelnaka. And the backlash from that wipes them out. It's not deliberate, and she's doing it with Torbin as well. Yeah. Torbin's assisting her, so it's not her on her own.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a case of that she's become less powerful. May is also, trying to kill an innocent to distract her. Yeah. And she almost knows it's going to happen, and she has no choice.
Okay.
So I think that she's able to do a lot. She is a master, but she's not infallible.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still not totally buying it. Yeah. I mean, she took out a possessed Wookiee, but yeah. No. Fair point. Fair point, Mark. Dan, any thoughts on that?
No, but I have got one, and it's more of an observation than a question. But there is the scene where May and Osha, when their children are on that bridge, on that gantry, and the middle section's collapsed, and they're standing at each other and they're having a conversation. You know, where's Mum? Oh, she's dead, and they're reaching out for this gap looks like it's about 10, 15 feet. There's no way they're going to reach each other. They're standing there. There's flames erupting everywhere, and they're reaching out to each other. Soul arrives, and he decides to use the Force to try and save both of them. But why didn't they just run back in the opposite direction? There was nothing blocking their way. I didn't see any particular fires or hazards at the back end of the bridge, but they just stood there reaching to each other, and then it was just very, very odd, and stood out to me as a bit of a what's the right word? A convenience to kill one of them.
Yeah, no, that's a fair one. That's a fair one. I also thought that one. Where's Mama? What have you done? She says it twice. There's plenty of time for May to say, I haven't done anything.
It was the Jedi.
That guy's just killed Mum. There was none of that. It was just the amount of time where May could have just gone, that guy has just killed Mum, but just didn't say that. So have you got anything on that, Mark? Your thoughts on that? Was that a frustrating one for you?
It was frustrating because there were so many ways out of it.
Yeah.
Even for just a Jedi Knight, as Sol was at the time, there were so many ways out of that situation. And just kind of going, damn, we have really screwed up here. Let's back off and kind of work this all out. And it was like, no, the Jedi are the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all it was about. Jedi are the bad guys. Right, okay. So, anyone else got a question before I jump in? Because I've got loads, right? I've got loads.
Keep going. Right. I do like the little rat. What's the little rat dude called? Basil. When he goes into disrupts Soul chasing down May in his ship through the asteroid field, and he goes and rips all the wires out. Why did it? I don't know. I don't know.
I could never work that one out.
I just don't get it.
So he's gone a bit crazy, right? So then they land, and then Sol just leaves him on the ship. Do you know what I'd do? I'd kill him. I would either tie him up, or I would kill him, or I'd take him with me. I wouldn't leave him to further sabotage my ship. There are so many things that Sol does in this series where you're like, are you brain dead? Right? It's just like, Sol, seriously, mate, have a word with yourself. So here's my next question then. When Sol had May tied up in the ship, when I saw her tied up there, I was just like, oh, there's Pip in a holster. And it was just, so big, the camera was focused on it. And then, funny old thing, Pip, for some reason, having just had its, factory reset, mind melds with May and decides, what she needs to do without saying anything is I need to pick her handcuffs. I need to pick her lock. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform, because Pip is a transformer, I'm going to transform into a taser, talk about convenient, so May can then tase Sol. Sol is so brain dead that why did he take Osha to Kofar when he knew that there was a chance that May would tell Osha what Sol had done? If Sol was so worried about the secret, which he's been keeping a secret for so long, what he should have done is tell Osha himself, or just not taken Osha. But he put that situation together where it all went wrong for him
Osha was walking out of the Jedi Temple. She was going, and he came out and said to her, "I need you to come with me." I don't know why, though. I just don't know why.
I don't get that. And then also, so Sol, when he's there, and May's like, "Yeah, you're the one. You're the one who killed my mum," and he whispers, "Yes." And then 20 meters away,
yes,
Osha hears that. I'm like, he's just whispered it. He's just whispered it. Why didn't he then say, well, the reason I killed her is because she was just turning into some mental black mist and it looked like she was going to kill your sister May. I genuinely thought your mum was absolutely off it and she was just about to off May. But no, he didn't say any of that. So, Sol, I mean, I thought you were a great character. I thought you were great when you were fighting the stranger at the end. He was really off and on it because there were some times when Sol was just getting beaten up, like Coral was beating him. Coral was just able to beat him. However, he was able to hands down beat the stranger. So there was a bit hit and miss with regards to his skills there. But I had some issues with Sol, but I did like him. Any other questions you guys have got? Because I got loads here.
I wanted to see more of the Vectors, the Jedi fighters. Yeah. Where was this great Jedi fleet? We kind of see 3 ships.
Yep. Well,
and it just it didn't make any sense as to kind of where is this supposedly all-powerful peacekeeping policing force that has the force on their side and unlimited funds, and we see 1 Vector and maybe 2 shuttles.
Yeah, it did feel like it was a very almost a low-level series when it came to some of the Jedi we saw, because I think even though Finestra's head of a council, it's like a sub-council. It's not even the main Jedi council that we see in the prequel. So it feels like this is all being done at a very low local level of policing. It's not like the main Jedi force almost. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how the hierarchy works in the Jedi.
And did anyone kind of look at the Jedi Temple and go, so this is the Jedi Temple now in the High Republic, and it gets better just before they lose the entire order. But right now, all your clothes are pristine, and then they're a bit more cash.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
Yeah.
I know George Lucas wanted a lived-in universe for the original trilogy, and he deliberately made the prequel trilogies really nice. Yeah, the temple is absolutely immaculate in Revenge of the Sith, but suddenly it's kind of it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Some of the choices didn't make sense in that way.
Okay, I completely agree with you, and I think that segues beautifully because you said some of the choices just didn't make sense. Mog.
Oh, is there a character that's more wet in the entire universe?
Master Benestra, Senator Raincourt's here to see you.
Where is he?
He's in there.
You let him in the control room?
I reckon they should do like a Frank Spencer type sitcom set in Star Wars, and he could be like a Frank Spencer character.
I don't get it.
Some Jedi do have them.
Do you know what? I was writing all my notes, and as I was watching this, like the last time through, every time I saw something, I would like, oh, I like that, or like, oh, that looks good, or I really like that, or I wrote Mog. And then I C-bombed, right, on my iPhone because I tell you, he just winds me up. Everything about the Jedi in this, they are deliberately made to look stupid.
I reckon that he's like a cosplayer, and they were like a celebration and saw some geezer dressed up as a Jedi, and I said, "Do you fancy a part in our show?" Because the acting, like, I just thought his line delivery, the whole, it just jarred the whole show whenever he was on. It was not good.
His lines were awful. Everything about what he was doing, but it's not just Mog. It was every time there were token Jedis, and that's what I'll call them. At one stage, Venestra turns around to Mog and says, "Prepare my ship. Grab all the knights you can." You know, because they're off to Brendok. She then does nothing with them, and they're just dithering around. No one is saying anything, and the only one who really does say something is Jecki. And even some of the stuff she just does say is putting down Jord all the time, or Yord. And I don't know if this is a male female thing. I really, really don't. But it's just all the ones who they want to appear popular, they want to appear good. It's just all of the regular Jedis are just being made to look like absolute fools. You know, they're just going off to do something really, really important, and then Mog is distracted with Basil. "Oh, Basil, there you are. Thank heavens for that." It's just like, no, mate, just get on and do it. He's just an absolute cluster, and it just winds me up, lads. Just winds me up.
I love the Jedi. I love the whole concept of them, and as I mentioned before, I followed them from kind of the kind of Tales of the Jedi in the Dark Horse comics, all the way through the to the New Jedi Order in the EU, and I'm looking forward to the Rey film with, you know, the reintroduction of that. Yeah. This bunch do my nutting because they look good, but so do the guards at the Vatican.
Yeah.
But I have no idea if they're any good. Apparently the guards at the Vatican, very, very good. This lot, no.
I wonder how they'd have got on if they'd have gone into Palpatine's office.
Well, I'm looking forward to the committee bit, because I know two of the things that I'm going to say with regard to the Jedi.
Yeah.
But there's elements in here that are just ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is the problem. But the sort of the thing which coexists with this is the writing is full of issues. It's absolutely full of nonsensical issues, which if they had thought it through to the finish, they would have changed it, or they would have just gone back. They had 4 years, right? 4 years. And I tell you, in an evening, I could come up with a better plot. And so actually the plot is got substance behind it in some respects. When you look at it in its main parts, you think, well, that could make a really, really good story. But what they've done in some sort of narcissistic way is just gone, right, I know everything I need to know. Brr. And they haven't thought about it to the finish, right? So some of the stuff here, because it's just poor and convenient. So, episode 1, the prisoner transport idea. I mean, it looked really Red Dwarf to me. There was a real Red Dwarf vibe about that. But they've just taken someone who they believe may have assassinated one of their own. First time that's happened in ages, right? First time. So what do? Oh yeah, we're just going to fly back club class and we'll leave you on a prisoner transport. No, that's not what would happen, is it? You wouldn't trust like G4S or someone to look after someone who's just taken out one of your mates, who's just taken out a Jedi Master. You've just gone there, you've just apprehended them. Why don't you fly them back yourself? So that whole prisoner transport idea was just nonsensical, just to allow the story to develop in another area, and it was an excuse. It was sloppy. Can anyone defend why they had that prisoner transport idea?
Not a chance.
They wanted an extra episode. You know, you could have taken us straight back to the Jedi Temple and had the conversations that you had on that planet where she crashed, and cut out another 30 minutes and give us something actually that's got substance.
There were some elements of that which I love. So I love the chairs. I love the automatic pilot chairs thing. I was like, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, that was good.
Really, really good. And I like the parasite on the prisoner. Right, I thought that was really good. So it was a Dubuk, something like Dubbuk. I thought, oh, that's nice, nice imagination. But it didn't need to happen in the first place, right? So why did the electrical lift and all of the electrical stuff in the castle still work 16 years after a huge electrical fire set in said stone castle, right? People explained that the reason the castle went up in flames was because it was an electrical fire, and they arrived and they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have to rewire this to get it working again. It's like, well, who's been paying the bill, right? Who's been paying Southern Electric or whoever? Yeah, I didn't see any solar panels. It's just there's some things which didn't make sense, right? Why did May need to get her memory wiped just there and then, right? They didn't need to do it there and then. They could have just escaped and then got it done later, if need be. Or maybe she could just promise to not say anything. Who knows? But I just thought that was, again, a bit convenient, a bit sloppy writing. Where has Coral gone? Coral just disappears, right? And you can't say, oh yeah, tune into series 2 to find out. Where did Coral go? Anyone?
I didn't look because I couldn't be asked, but I just assumed she was in the pile of dead witches. I just didn't go back and look. I assumed because when they look up, they've all gone, and I just assumed that they'd all done the same thing and kind of evaporated into those black mists and gone into a back room to take over Kalnaka.
After the fight, yeah. Go on, Mark.
Coral disappears off. She's
okay.
gone. She's not part of the pile of witches, and the expectation really was that would be answered in season 2.
Right. Okay.
We'd work out where she's gone, because in terms of May having her mind wipe, you don't want May going with you to the planet where your boss is Darth Plagueis. So she needs to be done there and then, and kind of set on her way, and she'd be a distraction for anybody following them.
This is for me, that's just a fundamental. When you think about that, I know it's story time and all of that. When you think about the Sith and how they operate, Darth Plagueis, assuming that the stranger is his apprentice, if he felt that weakness that he didn't kill her and he left that rift. I mean, bear in mind, at the end of the show, she's at the Jedi Temple and they're kind of picking it. They're gonna sort her out. If there was a second season, those memories would come back. He would have a major issue with his apprentice not killing her. He would have seen it as weakness. She should have died.
There is an element. I'll come back on that one. There is an element where she's an insurance process, an insurance policy, because if OSHA doesn't work out as the Acolyte, you've still got another of the twins to come back on. So I perhaps it was my simple-mindedness. I could explain that one away quite simply. Because you in the same with the sequel trilogy of Palpatine has Ben, but he's still looking for his insurance policy, which is Rey. And when they come together, he discovers that it's even more than he expected. I think that the OSHA May thing is similar, that he's got the one thing that kind of helps him with where he's going in terms of eternal life. But if it doesn't work out with OSHA, or she lets him down in some way and he has to get rid of her, he's still got May that he can go and find.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. Yeah. No, happy with that. But this whole when May is back now with Venestra at the end, again, that just winds me up, right? That just reeks of Gen Z, like, oh, I'm a victim. Oh, it's not my fault. It's everyone else's fault. Oh yeah, participation medals and all that. Because May, how many people has May killed?
2 or 3 Jedi. 3 Jedi is he killed?
3 Jedi. Venestra's there, and it's effectively, oh, you poor thing, blah blah blah. The Jedi have let you down, and she's the victim. I'm sorry. She's just killed 3 Jedi. But I'm then thinking, what does Venestra know? And who was she speaking to? Because this is a really big who. Who was Venestra speaking to with in Chapter 8? So the last episodes on the comm. So, Mark, I don't know if you can remember this at all. She sends someone. She's speaking on the comm, right? And her line is, I know he is, but I need to get a message to him. It's urgent. And then it on the subtitles, it just says, man, this is highly unorthodox, but I shall see what I can do. So before it all kicks off on Brendog, Venestra is saying, I need to speak to him, it's urgent. Why is whatever she's trying to do highly unorthodox, but I'll see what I can do? Who do you think Venestra was speaking to?
I think she was trying to get hold of Yoda. I don't know who she was actually speaking to, but I think she was trying to get hold of Yoda. Because that's the meeting him right at the end is the kind of the summation of that.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought initially. And then when I was sort of piecing it all together, and this is just World According to Me, I've not seen this anywhere else or anything at all. But I was like, okay, man. It didn't give away any description. It didn't say Jedi. It didn't say Yoda's man or anything like that, right? It didn't say Yoda's PA. It just said, man, this is highly unorthodox, but I'll see what I can do. She has been like a rogue operator throughout. She's just been off. There's been something, an element of weirdness about her. She says, I need to do this. Then what happens is you've got Chimera just like, we need to blank her memory. We need to do this. We need to do that. And then the whole thing has been put on Sol. Sol is going to take the hit for absolutely everything. And she's been behind all of this. She was the one who's like, sorry, my friend, when she says it. So to protect the Jedi Order or to do everything else, what else is she protecting? And then when she's talking to May, who has just killed 3 Jedi, May's like, oh yeah, I can't remember anything. And she says, yes, your last memory is from when you were 8 years old. Your last memory is from when you were 8 years old. It's like she knew. Did she plan that? So a conspiracist could think she was behind all of this. Maybe she has been a little bit more rogue in this. But Mark, I would love it if you would challenge that, knowing what you know about Venestra and her backstory. But is there any chance that she could be a bit rogue herself?
She's not. How can we say this? She's not your typical Jedi. She seems to be trying very, very hard to be orthodox, but she seemed to be that way in the books. But the books are 100 years ago.
Yeah.
In this timeline, she's almost obsessed with protecting the Jedi's image and reputation.
Yeah.
Particularly from the Senate. And that's the David Harewood senator. And she seems to be well aware of what Indara, Torbin, Kalnaka, and Sol did. She seems to almost have been their confessor.
Yeah.
So I think that she is kind of taking on the role of we did this to you. We started this journey for you. So we have to take responsibility for where it ended up. When you say that that May is responsible for 3 Jedi murders, are you referring to Indara, Torbin, and Kalnaka?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't kill Kalnaka.
That's another question, isn't it? Who does?
Yeah, that is the stranger. Of course, you have the ethical kind of moral dilemma of did she actually kill Torbin, or did Torbin's guilt kill him when he took the poison himself? But she's led on this journey.
But no, that's a great point, because Kalnaka, I was thinking this, I was like, right, so Chimaera's just been caught in a trap, And then and at one stage he goes off to get some water, and then there's this whole hoo-ha going around where then May changes her mind. And then all of a sudden, May gets to the Kelnecker's house, and he's already been slotted.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, we know that the stranger is, equipped with lightsabers, and we know that he's highly skilled and proficient.
I just don't know how or when he could have done it, unless he did it when he went to get some water, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so this section I intended on going on for about 5 to 6 minutes. However, it's gone on for a while. As you can see, I've got one or two questions. But Kylo Ren's theme at the end, Dan, I don't know if you picked this up. I know that the internet went a little bit crazy at the end of episode 5, which I thought was a superb episode.
I did catch it.
It was absolutely brilliant. The Kylo Ren theme with Stranger, or Chimera with the Stranger and Osha.
What extraordinary beings we are.
Any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I suppose it's more subtle than using the Imperial March. I suppose lets you know he's a bad guy. I don't know what else to suggest. This, yeah.
What about you, Mark? Thoughts on this?
I think it's the development of the Sith. It's kind of the identifier. As powerful as Kylo Ren is, he's not Darth Vader. So you can't do the Imperial March for him. It needs to be more subtle, as Dan says.
Yeah. I like where you could give it another link to Kylo Ren, because Kylo Ren started off as a Jedi student. And so he was following the path. Osha followed a path as a Jedi student, and then started the process of turning to the dark side. Ben turned to the dark side, turned into Kylo Ren. So there is an element of mirroring there. It was just a bit strange for it to be dropped like that, but not half as strange.
Parts of me will die with you, and I think it's gonna be the good parts.
As The Power of Two, Twin Flame song by Victoria Monet at the end of episode 7. Gentlemen, what happened there with that song? What's going on with the song choice there?
Honestly, I just think Leslie Headland wanted to bring all her mates to the party. I don't know what else to say. It's, yeah. We've had original music all the time, all through Star Wars, but we've never had a full-on song. We've had, Aliens, bit of fun, in the background music, the Cantina band playing songs and all that. But yeah, just to have a full-on song in the end credits is different for Star Wars. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't say any more than that, Jez. It's just the choice they made.
Mark, thoughts?
Yeah, it was an all right song. It didn't kind of make me go, wow. Yeah. It didn't make me kind of upset in any way. It was just a bit different. Yeah. You talk about the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, and kind of I do kind of shiver slightly. Not as much as my kids kind of absolutely blow up whenever they hear the wailing. It's like, we've done GCSE drama, we're better than that. Okay, guys. Calm down. So yeah, it was a bit different. But it was.
Do you think it was different for the sake of being different? It just didn't. you know, I get it. They want to modernize Star Wars and they want to bring it up to the you know, the modern audience. But do you think anyone was kind of like, wow, I'm going to go and download that song? That's fantastic. You know, even if you look at something like, I don't know, what's the song they use quite a bit? I can't remember what it's called in Andor. That kind of rave music that Mon Mothma was dancing around to. You know, and it's very different, you know, for Star Wars, but it seems to fit. You know, and I know it's not a song, but it's a track. You can download it and you can listen to it and turn it up loud. It just felt out of place and unnecessary.
The Andor thing that you mentioned there, in the same way that the Cantina bands are kind of playing their stuff, it fitted into the context of the scene.
It's used throughout though. It's used several times. It's in the first season several times. It's in when Cassian gets arrested on that planet. That's the theme that's playing, the Namos song. So it plays all the way through. So it was used a lot. But if they played that song at the end of every episode, you'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah. It just seems that song was done for that song being done. It didn't have any context to the
series.
It was just an additional bit of music. And had it fitted into the thematics of the credits in the same way that brilliant music for The Mandalorian does, then that would have worked.
Yeah, you think they'd save it for the finale, like for the end credits, and it'd be a song, you know, like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. There's generally got like a Celine Dion or whoever they have singing at the end of it, something that fits thematically with the entire show, that sums it up. It's just weird. It's on the 7th episode and not the final episode as well. If you're going to do it, do that at the end. Feels like to me.
So Victoria Monet, I checked out her Instagram. She put a post on the 14th of June saying, wow, this right here has been a lifelong dream to work with Disney. This is so extremely special to me. Had the honour of making the very first original contemporary song in Star Wars history for the Acolyte, starring blah, 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 and just tagging people. Can't wait for you to see the show and hear The Power of Two on Disney+. And
I bet that went down well.
So she put that on the 14th of June. And she put a video to it and everything else. And I've scrolled through her Instagram. I can't see anything. I can't see anything at all. And then when you actually look at when that show came out, so the show which came out, the 7th came out on the 9th of July. So I fast forward, there was a post on the 6th. She had a post on the 10th and the 12th. Nothing. And it's almost like in the time since when she first announced that she was doing something up until the time when that show dropped, then any mention of it was wrong, was dropped. What you said earlier on about Dan, though, that Leslie Headland just seemed to want to invite all of her mates along to this, it's interesting because when I was looking at an interview which she did beforehand, and they were talking about the cast and getting these people on, and she just said there was no casting process. I wanted who I got. I wanted that person. I got that person. I wanted that person. This role was written for that person, and so there was an absolute case of, right, who do I want? What do I want to do? So, you know, often you'll find when shows drop that you'll see cast by or casting by, and then there'll be people with post noms afterwards. And this does seem a little bit more like, right, who does Leslie Headland like and know, and who does she want on her project? Because this brings me to my last point. I had a slight expletive when I watched the end of the first show. Straight away, as the credits came up, directed by Leslie Headland, written by Leslie Headland, created by Leslie Headland, based on a story by George Lucas, executive producer Leslie Headland, executive producers KK, and then Simon Emmanuel, and then it goes on. But it was just, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, and her name was just there 5-6 times. Just, this is my show, this is my vanity project, and it just, to me, sums up so much about what went wrong with this show. Wow, I said I was going to provide the balance, didn't I? Yeah.
I'm feeling validated, Jez. I think you should cancel your Disney Plus subscription.
No, it really troubles me though, because as I said, there's been some elements of this which I really, really like. But then I could watch other Star Wars which I really love, but as I said, there's some really, really good elements to this.
Discretion is important. Our justice swift, an example made.
I love democracy.
I am not a committee!
Order! We shall have order!
I was not elected to watch my people suffer and die while you discuss this invasion in a committee.
My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
This is outrageous. I object. Order!
What we're going to do now is we're going to record on mini committee. So we are going to end on a high. We are going to end up on the positives. And Dan, me and you are both, we've got loads of positives. But let's just look at some of these things which we thought might have been pointless, worthless, or just didn't make any sense. So what do you have for me?
I'll kick it off then. I'm going to go straight in with Plagueis in terms of something that was pointless and worthless. That should have just been left out completely. If they weren't going to give you any more than a glimpse of him, he should have just been left out. He's too important of a character to have been treated that way.
Right, that's one of your thoughts. Okay, Darth Plagueis. Mark?
The wailing.
Oh yeah, the maniacal laughs. Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of we're gonna kind of let's do some stereotypical kind of witchy kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're going back to the 1950s. This is what kind of witches are like, and we're gonna wail.
Yeah.
He was a stereotypical kind of this is what witches are like. This is what kind of religious women are like. Let's just make them look really, really daft. And the actresses doing it look really stupid.
Yeah. I in fact wrote down the main witch, right? Anastasia, the mother, was speaking. I mean, this is a big night, right? This is, big stuff happening, the Ascension. She's giving it, the big lick, she's giving it her big speech. And then that gets punctuated with some woman doing some crazy wailing.
Yeah. Shut up.
Excuse me. This is my moment. Back down. So yeah, with you on a witch wailing, right, Dan?
I'm going to go, and we haven't mentioned this yet, but this was the final straw for me. One of the final straws. One more after this actually, but the first big final straw. The last episode I watched. I was like, okay. Great lightsaber duel between Sol and the Stranger again. They get right into it, and then he gets killed by Osha. But in the process of doing that, she bleeds her lightsaber, and her lightsaber turns red. And I was just like, no, not having it. I don't care if it's in a comic book in his new canon. That is. So Anakin Skywalker killed a whole Jedi temple of kids, strangled his wife, and he's still flinging a blue lightsaber. I'm just not buying that. Okay. That was all. Right. Sorry, so, calm down.
That's all fine. And what I want to do now is jump in because, and Mark will back me up, right? The lightsaber, when it was thrown, it hit something solid. You actually heard it go dunk, and then it focused, and you could see the kyber crystal was sticking out slightly. This kyber crystal had moved.
Yeah.
So apparently the whole thing, not that I've read it, but I've googled what happened with the lightsaber bleeding. Why hasn't that happened before? That hasn't happened before Anakin. And apparently it was because her passion, her absolute hatred and everything, whilst she was physically touching the kyber crystal, that causes it to bleed. So yes,
not buying it.
Whole lore behind it. I put lightsaber bleeding in my good.
So did I. That's in my good list. But I would say that Ahsoka does it.
Right.
Ahsoka does that because she takes the lightsabers off one of the sisters, and bleeds it back into was it blue, white,
bluey white,
so,
yeah.
so that there is history already of it doing the reverse, and we've kind of had that. So actually seeing it in live action being done in that way, I thought was absolutely fantastic. So yeah, it's fully on my kind of favourite bits.
Okay, interesting. Right, what else you got?
Well, in terms of bits I hated, and it's not the fact that it's kind of pointless or kind of irrelevant, was Jackie dying.
Oh, right, okay.
Jackie is a Padawan. She is kicking 7 bells out the stranger, who's supposed to be this kind of amazing kind of Sith swordsman who's wiped out a load of Jedi already, and she is absolutely kicking 7 bells out of him. But he just kind of snaps his lightsaber. Has got the short kind of lightsaber dagger thing, and the next thing you see is 3 holes coming through Jackie's back. And she was a fantastic character. Out of all the Jedi in the series, she was my favourite.
Yeah.
And it really upset me.
I don't want
the problem is, one of my favourite parts, and I apologise for putting it in here, was Yord dying.
Yes, that's in my best bits as well. Shall we save that? Let's save that.
I'm almost ashamed with myself. It's like kind of a Jedi dying was one of my favourite bits, but he was so absolutely pathetic. And how if we want another hated bit, the fact he had his shirt off at one point.
Well, there were 2 lots of that, wasn't there? There were 2 lots of fit lads with their shirts off. But so much there. So Jackie dying now, again, because there's an element here of Leslie Headland, right? Let's make Jackie out to be amazing, and let's make all the other Jedi look foolish. The stuff she was doing, the stuff she was coming out with, she was talking down to Yord all the time. She was flying this ship.
Yord is a dick, though, to be fair.
Yeah, because he was made to look like a dick. Because she was so cocksure of herself. Jackie was so cocksure of herself all the time, and I was just like, yeah, how is she so good? How is she so good at fighting? And yeah, it was just a bit weird. And then with the whole Soul going, oh, she was just a child or whatever. It's like, well, she's just been knocking 7 bells of crap out of this guy, and she's done this and she's done that and she's done that. And Chimea's point of, well, you brought her was fair enough, but yeah, Jackie dying. We are doing the negatives, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. I might have one. All right, don't hate me. Torbin, all right. I think it was Osha. Was like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm just going to take a blood sample, all right, through her clothing, all right. Don't even roll up the sleeve, right? It's just, hang on a second. So it's a slight annoyance if you know anything about anything medical, right? Foreign objects, get them out of there. How are you putting an injector? How are you getting that blood sample through someone's clothing? Because they didn't do that on episode 1, did they? On Phantom Menace.
Yeah, you had to roll your sleeve up for sure.
Yeah. It just seemed unthought through. Again, it was another unthought through thing. Unlikely to make the top 5, all right? But Torbin takes a blood sample through some clothing. What else? Right.
Well, can I go? Let me have a go. I'll have a go. So I'm doing this. I've sort of done this from the top down, right? Okay. So my next one is the final scene when they're looking out and watching the sunset, and you've got Osha and the stranger standing next, or Chimera, which they were standing next to each other, and they start holding hands with the lightsaber. I just like, could you imagine if Darth Vader and Palpatine stood on a beach at the closing of a movie holding hands? It's just like, they're dark side users, they're evil, and they're gonna go, I don't need a love. Star Wars has been lacking love stories or romance since Disney took over, but this is not the one we need.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I've got loads.
The
what else you got?
The one you kind of alluded to it earlier, the prison ship, and you've got the Red Dwarf element. Well, you've got the guy who's planning the escape, who's a lister. You've got the mechanoid guy who takes over the ship by turning the droids off, who's Crichton.
Yeah.
You had the guy with the long tongue who kind of rips the droid apart. It's basically an interpretation of Cat,
Right.
and another one who speaks up when they're being interrogated on the planet by the Jedi, who's Rimmer. And it was just like someone's watched Red Dwarf and just put them on a prison ship.
Yeah.
What on earth is going on?
I said it looked like Red Dwarf. It absolutely looked like BBC Red Dwarf corridors. Yeah, 100%. Here's something which annoyed me. The stranger, right at the end of episode 1, right? As you got May walking across the beach, you got the stranger saying, the Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fall. Steel or laser are no threat to them, but an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte, and then he ignites his saber, kills the dream. And I'm like, you just ignited your saber, which is a weapon, right? He's done this whole monologue about how an acolyte needs to kill without a weapon. And just at the vinegar strokes of that quote, he lights his saber. Pointless. So,
kind of some of it's kind of, I mean, to kill a Jedi without a weapon, essentially that's what, well, arguably that's what Palpatine does. You know, the whole Order 66. Although the clones are technically weapons, he doesn't kill them himself with his own hand. He's engineered it that way. So I think what they're trying to do is talk about, you know, to challenge, you know, to find ways to kill Jedi, you know, almost manipulating them to either kill each other or kill themselves. But they don't ever achieve that in the show. Everyone's, you know, or is it the fact that he wants them to force choke? Is what Osha does to the end of the soul when she force chokes him without touching him? Is that the weapon that he's looking for her to kill someone with? It's all very bizarre, and I don't quite get it. It doesn't hang together well.
No, it doesn't.
My next one is Mog. I am going to put Mog on the list, 100%. Yeah. I could put every Jedi going on the list, but I'm going to put Mog.
Mog, have you heard from Master Soul?
No, but our team is ready and we depart in 20. Are you joining us on the mission, Master?
I am.
To the Outer Rim. It's just... you get nauseous when you travel through hyperspace?
I don't get sick. I find it unsettling.
But, Master, I'm sure that these casualties are due to the planet's uncharted environment. You don't...
I need to handle this personally. I hope that is all right with you.
And I am tempted to put the entirety, I know we've mentioned the whaling already, but I just want to put the entirety of that third episode on there. I'm just going to put episode 3 down as a as an option.
I've just got witches doing witch. So, we could just have it like that, couldn't we? So, I've got that. Right, okay. Anything else?
How many have we got? How many was that?
So I've got... I'm going to put the Twin Flame song in. The song. I'm just putting the song, all right?
Okay.
So, which is called The Power of Two. Yeah, because that's bad. Some of the dialogue, which is on yourselves. You may be their mother, but you're also our leader. Right now, I choose mother. I was just like, oh God,
it's very meme worthy, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Meme worthy. Yes, 100%.
There's a number of these kind of like you're turning around and going, "We need a tracker for our tracker." It's just like, okay.
Yeah. What about the hand gesture? Every time Venestra opened a door, she did it with her hand, but it just looked. Maybe Venestra just winds me up. Maybe I won't include this, but maybe Venestra just winds me up. But I see her walking along, it's like, oof. And it's the sort of thing which you might do when you're walking out of Sainsbury's or Tesco's or whatever. But it just didn't look real. It was just like, oh, Venestra. That's awful.
You got Mog's really standing, like walking around. He's opened the doors for her, and she just hasn't got force power. He's got a little remote, and he's like 2 seconds out of her opening the door. When he grabs his remote. I've got one more. I have got one more. I have got, and I know, Mark, you're going to say this is in a comic book, or she had this weapon in a novel, but that whip lightsaber, that's just.
That's in Mark's good list. Okay.
Well,
and it's pink as well.
Herself is on my good list, but yeah, that force whip, it's an interesting thing because, of course, yeah, it's not. It is from the original Marvel comics from the early 80s.
So is that Green Rabbit?
No, it's a dark lady of the Sith, Lumia, who then makes a reappearance in the New Jedi, the post Yuzhan Vong series,
right,
of the Expanded Universe books.
Yeah,
when Jason is going down the rabbit hole.
Mm.
So yeah, she has the light whip. Hers is a little more dramatic than Venestra's, but we've always struggled as a fandom with the physics of a lightsaber. They've just about created one now, but having a light whip that kind of goes flexible and elongates and everything else does seem a bit far-fetched. And how does that work, and how do you change it? And
so she's got like a switch on the side that makes it stiff, or has she just got to battle everyone with a whip?
I think it's more she's got a switch that makes it go loose. But
yeah, Mr. Floppy.
Right, so I'm just going to list off a couple of my last ones just for. I'm not going to add them to the list.
Oh man, I thought I was the hater, Jez. Jeez, go on, keep going, son.
I just say, right. So this is what I just found a bit weird, right? So May, when she does the whole clothes swap thing, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off my hair with a lightsaber, which nearly takes my face off, right? She cuts her hair, and then it's perfectly matched,
and no one smells it.
Right? Yeah, no one smells the singeing. But the stupid thing is, right? So when May was fighting Indira, straight away, the first thing she sees is the head tattoo marking, which is on her head, right? So May whips off her hair with the lightsaber, changes the clothes, and then going back to Sol being so dumb that when he meets her, he doesn't go, "Oh, nice tat. When did you get that done?" When did you have time to get that done? He just doesn't notice it. Maybe her hair sort of falls down. It's always sort of blending in. So May blending in with head tattoo is one of those things which I just find a little bit annoying. And then speeder bikes looked bad. The kids, right? So this was the funny thing, because May then looked absolutely identical to her twin sister Osha, who some reason wasn't an identical twin when they were kids and younger than 10, because those two children, and I'm not having to go to the child actors at all, absolutely not, but they didn't even look like siblings, let alone twins. And now fast forward 16 years and all of a sudden they've become identical. Again, from a casting point of view, that's just nonsensical. That didn't make any sense. But the way the kids were directed, kids always find it difficult to laugh and cry in TV shows and on films. So try to come up with a workaround, because the fighting between the two of them was just irritating.
Yeah.
Absolutely irritating. And the crying was awful. Now, that's because kids do find it difficult. So that's on the director. I'm sorry, that's not on the kids. That's on the director. The director should have looked at some of that stuff and gone, right, yeah, okay, well, we're going to try a different angle on this. Wouldn't have had to blame the kids. Wouldn't have had to say this, that, and the other. Right, it's not quite working for me on this scene. My fault. Let's do it like this. And could have made a better product. So I just think that the scenes with the younger kids were poor.
Agree.
And as I said, that's not me. That's not me.
No.
The kids, but that's all about the directing. And unfortunately, both of those episodes were with Codenado. So I would say that's on him. So Paramani song, I said that. Venestra, I just put Venestra. Can't go back. I won't put that in the mix. Young Torben Jedi with fake beard. And then the final one, episode 4, when they're in a forest, May takes off her robe because she's hot and she chucks it on the forest floor. Why'd you do that? It's going to be critters everywhere. It's going to be bits and bobs and bugs and leeches and everything. Just put it on that rock, which you then sit on. Belter. But lads,
Jez.
You.
None of that's going to be in the top 10. But well done.
Going to be in the top 10. Right, so we've actually, I'm not going to use any of those, but we've got about 16.
I love democracy. I am not a committee!
Order! We shall have order!
I was not elected to watch my people suffer and die while you discuss this invasion in a committee.
My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
This is outrageous! I object! Order!
So, what a list, and what list indeed. Now the three of us have been voting, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag because we all voted on 5 different things, and we have a list of 11. 5. In fact, in joint 5th, Dan, lightsaber bleeding.
Yeah, so at the end of the final episodes or towards the end, Osha chokes out Soul and then ignites her lightsaber, and then it turns from blue to red, which I thought was bomb. Which I know not everyone agreed with, but that's that was. But I'm influencing this list by my dislike of lightsaber bleeding, I think.
Only person to vote for that yet. And you never know, it might come up in a positive list later on. So in equal joint 5th, Mark, the song, came at the end of episode 7.
The Power of Two song, it's kind of the question about why this was in, but it's kind of expressing the kind of the part of the witchy thing going on, but just kind of sharing the whole Power of Two stuff.
Absolutely, completely strange and just really, really barking mad. So there are joint 5th on our top 5. So in 4th, we've got Jedi just standing around being fairly pointless. This was one of the biggest bugbears for me. Jedi's just looking ineffective. Just looking absolutely pointless, not really contributing, not really doing anything, from one extreme to the other. Don't mind seeing a few Jedis every now and then making a mistake, but you had an absolute gathering of complete clusters. 3. Dan, over to you for number 3, the final scene of episode 8 with Kylo.
It kind of all culminates with the 2 characters standing, looking out at the sunset, holding hands, and I just is this really what it's come to? Is this what the Sith is all about? Are they really just looking for love? I don't know, but yeah, it just didn't sit right with me. So yeah, we've got that in there at number 3.
Number 3. It's our own Star Wars version of Natural Born Killers. Amazing. And then Mark, over to you for your next one.
So the witches doing witchy things, including the weird and wonderful wailing. All the different ceremonial bits that kind of interrupt with kind of weirdness.
Yeah, absolutely. Witches doing witchy stuff. Yeah, wailing, you name it, just maniacal.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Well, do you know what? We haven't mentioned that at all, have we? There's been so many other things for us to focus on.
Power of one, the power of two, the power of many. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
So, what on earth could possibly be in at number 1, gentlemen?
Mog.
Yes, you named it, Mog. Voted on by all 3 of us. Mog, the least looking Jedi ever. It's simply awful, absolutely awful portrayal of a Jedi. This is the first time ever we've done a top 5 worst things. So this is our Generation Skywalker's top 5, and in number 1, the worst Jedi ever, Mog.
Who else would possess the power to slay such a strong group?
Something to tip the scales.
But if he did this, why would he send us a distress signal?
It's time to get back to the ship.
Amazing. I think that's a good list. I think that's a good list.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the negative positive.
So, lads, as you know, all massive fans of the Acolyte, and we should have recorded this ages ago because there are several positives. So let's go through them now. Come on, hit me with some positives, Mark.
The fights.
Yes.
Oh man,
the fight scenes are absolutely brilliant.
Any standout one in particular?
I think the kickoff one with in Zara.
Yeah.
That was the kind of let's introduce the Matrix and just kind of kick that off. The fight with the witches, between the witches and the Jedi, and then against Kalnaka. It's just intense.
Yeah.
Wiping out the Jedi, along with kind of the interlude with Jackie and with Soul fighting the Stranger.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Superb.
Yeah.
Those 3 kind of real standout kind of elements. Those are very, very well choreographed and put together.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to add the Soul versus Stranger one at the end on episode 8. That was absolutely House of Flying Daggers. That was brilliant, and Soul was the man. He was absolutely kicking ass on that one. So yeah, 4, they're really good fights.
I need to call out a specific moment. I need to call out the shish kebab Jedi when he pulls 2 Jedi onto his saber and then pulls the saber out and beheads the pair of them. That's the best kill ever. I need to call that out specifically.
That was really good.
It's something you'd expect on one of the kind of games, the arcade games. It's like, it's a knockout.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with the strain. I mean, you criticise these kind of the last moments he had in that first episode, Jez, but the way that he appears at the end of what would have been the 4th episode, and he kind of floats down. and it's something out of a horror film. He's like a vampire. It looks super. Say what you want about it. That character. I know you mentioned the actor and his disappointment. I think he'll be back. I think for that entrance alone, and all the Jedi are like, what the hell's going on? I don't necessarily like the fact that he all of a sudden's like bloody Son Goku out of Dragon Ball Z and he's force blasting all of the Jedi up into the air. I didn't particularly like that, but when he first appears, that's premium. That's a good Star Wars moment.
No, absolutely agree. The stranger appearance I had, and then with the whole, OSHA, it was brilliant. It was a great ending, and I wrote scary there. So I think the stranger appearance is brilliant. Jackie getting killed. Sorry, Mark. I know you put it in the negative earlier on, but I just think that was just... She had a great fight. So I'm going to put Jackie fight, including death, because I thought the way in which he dispatched her with that sort of triple skewer, it was just shock and awe. So, yeah, chucking that one in there.
I know someone's going to call out the bleeding the Kyber crystal in a minute, but on the same way I criticise that, I really like the cortosis, that phases out the lightsabers. That was a nice touch, especially in that final battle when he's trying to pull Sol's lightsaber into the helmet, and he kind of does a quick maneuvers himself away from the helmet, and then catches him off guard. I thought that was pretty cool as well.
You said earlier on about I don't know about all these comics and stuff like that, so you didn't like the...
I didn't even notice in the comic. I just like the idea that helmet did that. I think it was quite clear on screen that that's what the helmet was doing to the saber, and he does mention the cortosis when he's talking to OSHA about wearing the helmet and kind of going into like a isolation booth almost, so it's just you and the Force.
Well, the cortosis originates from Visions of the Future, which is Timothy Zahn duology, just before Luke and Mara get married, and it's just completely terrifying as kind of someone who's kind of watching Luke Skywalker suddenly in a fight, and his lightsaber keeps shorting out if he hits someone's armor.
Definitely, that is a great concept, and I'm glad it's canon. Well, TV canon or movie canon or on-screen canon. It's great that it's out there now. I think it's a pretty cool concept.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm going to chuck your dying in at this point.
Yes. Sorry, you're dying. I was like, all right, mate. I know we might not have agreed on everything, but right, not me, but right, you're dying.
You're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an element to that which was as shocking as Jackie's death, because the stranger just appears and you're gone.
Yeah.
But he had been so irritating up until that point that it was just, don't have to worry about him anymore.
It's kind of like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones or something, isn't it? Because you're like, wow, who's next?
You don't care. That's the problem, Jez. You don't care. In fact, you celebrate it.
All right. Right. I loved the fact that so much of this did look like a movie. So much, the sceneries, so many of the sets. There's loads of things I could go on to with regards to, quite clearly, you can see where some of the budget went on sets, on scenery. The fact that they were just walking through the forest at one stage and you can see ferns blowing in the wind. Some of the stuff was good, but the bar has been raised and/or everything is awesome. But one thing in particular, the ice atmosphere solar thing looked epic. Do you know what I mean? In episode 8, when OSHA is inexplicably escaped, and then not OSHA, when May is escaped, and then Sol is chasing her, so they've got the little craft chased by the big craft, quite similar to sort of Episode 4 type New Hope at the beginning, but when
Basil ruins it.
when they're going through that sort of what is it? How would you describe it? Some sort of asteroid belt. They're going through some sort of icy asteroid belt. That is fantastic cinematography. It's just really, really well shot. That's definitely in the top 5. It has to be.
I think adding on to that, you talk about kind of effects and seeing where the budget's gone. While the story has holes and the plot is kind of dubious at times, the expansion of the universe, the world building that we see in this is just immense. Whether that's kind of the way we see the Jedi, or the way we see the Senate developing, or this kind of new force sensitive faction in the Witches, who are a religious order in their own right, or the ships, or the seats that turn into robots on the prison ship, or all the different alien species that are actually added to the universe, added to what we can see in the future. It was just absolutely incredible. It did take me back to those EU days, where you saw all the different additions to the universe, time after time, and it did it visually. It was a lived-in universe.
Completely agree. I think world building is almost not big enough, because I'm going to add as a separate thing, the aliens. There were some great aliens in there. There really, really were some fantastic aliens. But I completely agree with you with the world building, with the seats, with the convict, with the parasite, the whip. All these things I think did add loads. And I'm going to come on to some of my hopes for the future after this. But yeah, no, I completely agree. That's a nice looking list so far.
And I'm going to add the lightsaber crystal bleeding and Darth Plagueis as good things.
Okay. Yep. Happy with that. Let me just going to add that to my list. Yeah, absolutely. Got some good stuff there. We've got some good stuff. Right. Okay, fellas.
I love democracy.
I am not a committee!
Order! We shall have order!
I was not elected to watch my people suffer and die while you discuss this invasion in a committee.
My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy!
This is outrageous. I object. Order!
So, Dan, there you go, a load of positives. And to our listeners who've never seen The Acolyte, or maybe never finished it, there are loads of positives in this. Now, I know that I've been one of the most negative people there is, and I've probably surprised you with regards to how negative I've been, because I demand quality. However, we have compiled a great list. 5. In at number 5, Mark, it's already been featured in a negative list, but over to you for something really quite positive.
The bleeding of the Kyber crystal, the demonstration of the power of emotion to change the color of a Kyber crystal and the blade of a lightsaber, looked absolutely immense on screen, and kind of continues what is a fantastic element to the lightsaber lore.
Brilliant. And I thought it looked great as well, so yeah. Now, Dan, straight over to you. Number 4, double skewer.
Oh yes, I love it. So yeah, in the heat of battle, yeah, the stranger shows his skills, drags 2 Jedi into his lightsaber, skewers them both. Then before they have time to react, he beheads them both in a single motion. Superb, and they both deserved it.
Absolutely part of the fantastic episode 5. If someone just wanted to watch, if someone just had 35 minutes alone and wanted to watch a great Star Wars battle lightsaber fight, just watch episode 5 as a standalone. It would be great. But brilliant, double skewering, absolutely love it. Nice one in number 4. Mark, over to you for examples of your world building.
Just the incredible number of different aliens, different settings, different contexts, the rise of the Senate, the religious element of the Jedi Order, Yord looking very fancy and steaming his outfit, the witches in their place in their incredible castle, the Jedi searching new apprentices out. It was the incredible amount of stuff in there, of adding to the canon, adding to the story behind all the stories we follow, and less holes when you're just looking at the background.
Yeah, absolutely, I'd go with that. And bringing in at number 2, something as well as the world building, it was the in-space stuff, that space scene through the asteroid field, the absolutely brilliant special effects, the VFX, the special effects in this. That was a great treat of a great scene. It just looks absolutely brilliant. But Dan, over to you for our tip-top number 1. All 3 of us voted on this. What came in at number 1 of the best elements of the Acolyte?
So in at number 1, we've got Soul versus the Stranger in the 8th and final episode. They've already faced off once, but yeah, this battle is absolutely superb. It's just a good lightsaber battle, and yeah, lots of fancy moves. Some good uses of the Force, the great use of the Cortosis helmet. I thought it was great.
I will destroy you if I must. Not if she gets you first.
Yeah, completely. Really a great battle. It ends in the final chapter. So yeah, a really great list. Some 5 really strong top tier moments there. And unfortunately, sometimes these things just get lost in the entire sort of vitriol and sort of enthusiastic venturi of disappointment that surrounds the Acolyte. But 5, a great list there. And a great committee for the Acolyte.
Even in the revelation of our triumph, you see the depth of our despair.
Whew. So there we are, gents. We have covered it. It's started off a little bit depressing. I've got to tell you, it started off a little bit bleak. But I like the fact that we've analysed it, we've looked at it, and we've questioned it. As I said earlier on, we insist on quality now with Star Wars. We've seen how the bar can be set, and we do get disappointed. There's nothing here with regards to vendettas or issues or anyone being concerned about anything. What we just want is good stories, good writing. My biggest disappointment with this, and who I feel sorry for, are the fans who did love that original era, the High Republic. I feel sorry for the people who were making these special effects, who were making the animatronics, who were making the aliens, who were making the costumes, and indeed some of the actors as well. These are people who put their heart and soul into these passions, and on some occasions it looked brilliant, but it was just let down in some effects, in some areas, by story and sloppy writing. But would I go and watch it again? Yeah, I absolutely would. There are some bits in this which are absolutely brilliant. And gentlemen, I'm so glad that you joined me this evening to go through some of those bits. Any final thoughts from you, Dan? Would you ever watch The Acolyte again?
I remember back in the early 80s. I don't really remember the early 80s. I was a kid, but around that time, there were a lot of movies coming out that were trying to mimic Star Wars, and no one could find that magic ingredient. Battle Beyond the Stars, The Black Hole, you know, all those movies, you know, that came out that wanted to be space movies, you know, Moonraker and all that, and they could never capture the magic of Star Wars. And I think that although we've mentioned a lot of good elements in this as well, I think the storytelling's key, and that's where this was let down. And yeah, you know, everything you said about the people behind it, you know, all the craftsmanship, everyone who put their you know, heart and soul into it, it was let down massively. And great respect to them, but it just goes to show you've got to have a good story to make this thing carry on. Really,
completely agree. And Mark, thank you ever so much for coming on. You know, we invited you onto the show because you were quite clearly a fan, quite clearly enthusiastic and passionate, and you know, voting with high scores for this at the beginning when Dan did put the polls on the We Are Generation Skywalker Facebook group. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I hope it's not been too painful for you.
Oh, my pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for being a good sport as well.
Yeah, you really have. You really have. And yeah, I look forward to inviting you on in the future, Mark. I'm sure we'll hope to have you on for further committees, or maybe further shows, or even commentaries or something like that, if you would be kind enough.
That'd be great.
You know, you obviously know your stuff, mate. I'll start to give you that. You know your stuff, that's for sure.
A sad childhood.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye. So it's goodbye from Dan.
I was going to do the power one, but I can't be asked. Good night.
And thanks very much. And it's goodbye from Mark.
Good night.
And it's goodbye from me. We are Generation Skywalker. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars. Might not have felt like it tonight though.